Hey, thanks for hanging out with us. It is Russell and Hunter's The Brewmance, and birds chirping in the background. It's Friday afternoon. Congratulations. Thanks for hanging out with us right here on the Friday Nooner. Rob, we got to start with what's happening in the Valley today because it is a as the kids say, a BFD. So it is. What is that?
Is that what they say?
Cool? Is that not cool? No,
I don't know. I mean, you have kids. I don't.
It's what the kids say. The Final Four is here. This is a really, really big thing. It's good for the Valley. It's good for the economy. It's good that we get a little bit of love nationwide. I've already seen a lot. I mean, Portnoy was already out here doing pizza reviews at Orange Laurence or whatever the hell you call that thing. Remember that's on 16th and yeah. That place out there is already doing a pizza review out there. So I mean, there's a good amount of attention on the Valley right now, which I always love. I always think is great. Just don't move here. Okay. So the big news I think out of the NCAA, besides NC State just doing what they're doing, and it's kind of cool seeing 11 seed in the Final Four, and I really think they can pull some things off. This is just a dang good team. Is this on the women's side? Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is essentially the female second coming of Michael Jordan. They're saying she's the best player of all time. She's the best collegiate player of all time. She's great. She's the greatest. They're already minting her the GOAT. And I don't buy it. I don't buy any of it. I think that she's good. I think she's talented. What I'm not buying into is the argument that I heard just the other day that she would be able to play in the NBA. You know where I'm going with this, Rob. So if you want to mute, that's fine, buddy, because you know I'm about to fly off the handle right now. She would not make the McDonald's boys high school All-American team, period, in high school. I'm talking about right now as she plays now. She wouldn't even be able to play in any way, shape, fashion, or form with those boys. She wouldn't. She's not. There's not a. I would say the top 5 high school teams, men's teams. She didn't even making the team. Well, so to say that she can play in the NBA is just an absolute. I would even say it's insulting to her, because like Serena Williams, who said I wouldn't even be top 50 in the men's division in tennis, and I'm the greatest female player of all time. I wouldn't even be top 50. She should be like, don't even put me in that category. That's just insulting.
Well, this is a media pipe dream. That's all it is. And this is, again, Mike, for me, one of the reasons why I just got so indifferent to what we did is because that's all it is. It's people that make ridiculous comments that aren't going to be true, never going to be true, not even allowed to be true, but it makes for good conversation. Is Caitlin Clark a good basketball player? I have no idea. I do not watch women's basketball. I've seen her highlight shoot a 3. Here's one of the things that frustrates me about women's basketball. I happen to have
one of
somewhere. Well, I mean, I don't watch it. I don't know. It's not my sport.
Reason why.
Well, and here's why. When Caitlin Clark became the all-time NCAA points leader, it was on a free throw, and it was 3 free throws I think that she shot. ESPN showed all 3 free throws as a highlight. I'm like, all right, cool. So yeah. Although women's college basketball is becoming incredibly popular, 12.3 million people watched Caitlin Clark play. So Caitlin Clark is an attraction. Mm-hmm. She's a star.
Yep.
That's it. So she's already doing her own thing. Why don't you just let her do her thing instead of trying to say she could play in the NBA? It's not even a compelling argument. Just talk about how great Caitlin Clark is as a women's basketball player. Maybe she is the coach. She can shoot a 3 like Steph Curry. Let it be.
Yeah. Then let her go be in the WNBA and prove it.
Oh, right. She's actually going to play for Ice Cube's Big 3 League, and he's going to pay her $5 million, which I love because she is a star. She draws a crowd, and the WNBA, and then she only would get paid like $150,000 or something like that. So Ice Cube comes in, drops $5 million in her lap, and she's going to go play 3-on-3 basketball because why not?
That's already done. I thought that was just he threw the offer out. And by the way, she should take that offer.
I didn't. I thought the thing I read gave me the impression she did. I was unaware.
Okay. Well, good for her. Right on. Go for the money. Go chase the stacks. You're not going to make it in the WNBA. I mean, the money, you're not going to make it. I mean, look at who's that dude? Nope. I'm not going to go there. So there's no WNBA player that's making the kind of money that she can make given $5 million for a season in the freaking 3 league. And by the way, the big 3, and she can go to the WNBA anytime she wants to.
Oh yeah,
she's
absolutely.
She is a solid basketball player. She is probably the best collegiate basketball player, female side ever. So cool, great. But stop with this nonsense about she could play. Here's what I do dig about his argument, though.
Offer, by the way.
His argument is that because the NBA is so soft, and I'm like, okay, now I see where you see you're getting a little his place because you can't touch any players without getting fouled, and she'd be at the free throw line half the game, and so I do understand to that extent. Okay, it might be the point that was being made, but don't look. It was fun for me. About 5 years ago, I got to be the courtside announcer for the high school Final Four. And that was a total fun. That was a lot of fun to me. I had a great time doing that. Okay. When I was at the 2 women's games, 2 girls games, I could look up and see who has the ball, check in my notes and say, okay, if she hits, this is her name, 3-point goal, number 11, right? I could say her name because I had time. The boys came out and I couldn't, by the time I figure out who just scored, they've already scored on the other end. The game is played at such a higher level on the boys' side than the girls' side. It just is. And I'm not being sexist by saying that. These are just the facts. And so when I hear arguments like that, I'm like, you're not even paying attention. You're not even paying attention.
But see, I don't even think it's that, Mike. I just think it's trying to get attention. That's all. And that's to me how I look at people who say obvious things that are never going to happen that wouldn't be real. Because number one, you just talked about the speed differential is all you need to know. Caitlin Clark could not guard LeBron James at 40. LeBron James at 40 is still insanely fast. So if there was a steal, she couldn't get back on defense. She couldn't defend anybody. She's only 6 feet tall. All of the things are obvious that this is just a person in media trying to get attention and go viral. And I think we fall into this trap all the time by giving opinions a bunch of credence that don't even need to be given credence to. But I guess that's the way the world works now. Is that everything we have to reach to the outrageous and say crazy things, otherwise no one pays attention to us.
Yeah. Okay. Can we just get to crazy? Can we just start there? It's Friday.
Okay.
Can we jump on? Because Kamala Harris, the great oracle that we have as Vice President, Kamala Harris, weighed in on the women's NCAA tournament and how excited she was about this and what a huge step forward this is for women. Listen to this.
Okay, a bit of a history lesson. Do you know that the women's teams were not allowed to have brackets until 2022?
Wait, what? Did you? Wait, huh? I'm not at, she is pointing at this man and saying, I'm going to give you a history lesson. Did you know that women didn't have brackets until 2022? How in the world? Now, there was a 2 in there, I believe. Let me see. I did my research here. I believe, yes, 1982. I am absolutely floored that 40 years she's missed it and said, oh, no, here's where. Yeah.
Think about that. And talk about progress, better late than never, but progress. And what that has done, because of course, when, I had a bracket, it's not broken completely, but I won't talk about my bracket. But how we love March Madness, and even just now allowing the women to have brackets and what that does to encourage people to talk more about the women's teams, to watch them. Now they're being covered. And this is the reality. People
now
used to
they're
say,
being covered.
Women's sports, who's interested? Well, if you can't see it, you won't be.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Vice President of the United States of America. She just said, I'm giving you a history lesson. I'm the smartest person in the room. I'm giving you a history lesson in saying that the women did not have an NCAA bracket until 2022. I'm who maybe, and if I have to give the benefit of the doubt, and I won't, but it may be she had to have been thinking maybe legalize gambling like we do with DraftKings and all that. Maybe 2022 was the number she was talking about that you can now gamble on. I don't know. I'm blown away by this.
But this is the standard, right? This is the Kamala Harris standard. She's just not good in front of a camera, in front of a microphone. She's not good at ad-libbing. She's not good at the job of vice president. She looks good in the role because no one looks like her that's ever been in the role. So if you just looked at a picture of her, you'd be like, all right, America, forward progress. But then when she speaks, it's disappointing every single time. I have not been impressed by one thing Kamala Harris has done. And I can say that there's a couple of things Biden has done. I'm like, all right, that was a good move. Kamala, you can't say that. And to me, Mike, the bigger issue here about this idiocy, I guess, is the fact that she's still elevated as this woman of achievement because she got appointed to a position and the guy she ran with won an election. Like, we're supposed to be judging, especially vice presidents, on their merits, on their leadership abilities, on their ability to unite people, whatever it is that we want to measure the vice president on. Kamala just doesn't measure up. And the American in me keeps hoping one day, Mike, she'll find it. But it's way past that window to expect that Kamala Harris is going to be up for the job.
You know me when it comes to We the People, and she's part of We the People. She is. I hold out hope for We the People. There's no hope that she's losing time. She's had 3 years to prove that she was the badass that was the senator that would tear people up in Senate Judiciary Committee hearings and just come at it with, she was the one that started the, genre of just attack mode at these hearings. And she was impressive. She really was impressive. Easy on the eyes. And she was impressive. She's came at it, attacked. And then we learned who she was. She's dumber than a sack of hammers. I'm not kidding. This is who we have. These are the best. This was the best VP pick you had. We're just forgetting that she was her family's slave owners. All that was let that go to the wayside. Come on, man.
She didn't have anything to do with that.
But how can? Oh, neither did I. But do I have to pay for reparations?
Yeah, but this is. I've been doing politics a long time. I recognize symbolism and debates that aren't real, that are just meant to get an emotional reaction out of people, which is exactly what these Senate hearings are. We have to get out of this mindset that because someone goes in attack mode, it's impressive. Anyone can go in attack mode. It's not hard to do, especially if you have a 5-minute window and a witness sitting in front of you. I remember, Mike, you and I had this debate about Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. He was going hard on Alejandro Mayorkas and telling me he's a failure. Guess who's still in that job? Alejandro Mayorkas. So Ted Cruz, Kamala Harris, Senator XYZ, they sit there in front of their microphones so that you go, wow, that's my guy right there. That's Kamala's great. She went on the attack. It is surface level. It is foolish to believe that that is somehow indicative of how that person is, other than trying to be a TV star.
Well,
and
what I was trying to say was,
no,
I
I get
say is that, okay. All I was trying to say essentially is that moment was all we knew of a Kamala Harris. We knew who Kamala Harris was. So that's all we knew. I wasn't saying that was indicative of who she was in attack, whatever. And I understand that.
I wasn't talking about
is that
you specifically.
The only thing we had on her resume was that. Literally, that was her entire resume.
Exactly.
Was who we know she was at the Kavanaugh hearings or whatever.
Yeah, and she did it at the debate when she called Joe Biden a racist, and she believed Tara Reade, the woman who accused Joe Biden of sexually assaulting her in the Senate hallway. So
she was right and right.
She has one right, and she's a prosecutor. Her background is a prosecutor. She put many black people in jail. That's another one of those things that convenient facts that is weaponized only against Republicans and conservatives, and that's kind of the game that we play here. All I'm saying, Mike, is that if we're serious about politics and we want better people to run and we don't want Kamala Harris to be the vice president of the United States, we have to stop falling for the old political tactics that they've been using on us for years and years and years. They have that one moment and they flash and like, oh yeah, that one moment makes them presidential. I remember when Obama spoke in 2004 at the John Kerry convention. Mm-hmm. I was in New Orleans. I was living in New Orleans at the time, and I was hanging out with this guy that I worked with. His name was Matt. He had a roommate who had a girlfriend. That's a long-winded approach of it. And it was like a week after the speech. She goes, I can't wait for Barack Obama to be president. One speech, and people were already convinced the dude should be president of the United States.
I think that was the first one. That was the first step. Yeah.
And I think that that's that point, right, of that shallowness that we, the people, to go back to what you're saying, really look at for politicians. We want someone who looks good on TV and acts good in those moments and goes on the defensive and nails someone to the wall. We're like, yeah, that's going to be a good leader. Yet, meanwhile, who's happy with the country right now? Only people who are getting money from the government. That's basically it.
And that work from home and don't have to buy gas. The hell happened overnight? What happened? I drove by a gas station this morning and I thought, did we go to war? What happened? I'm not kidding. I saw the gas price. I'm like, that is literally 20 cents more than it was yesterday.
And it's over $4 a gallon here in the valley.
$4.19.
Mm-hmm.
I saw $4.08. I'm like, oh, that's better.
Well, at the $3.50, we were like, oh, it's a deal. It's $3.19 for gas. Let's do this. Yeah, I don't know what it is about Arizona. Why?
What is that? Arizona, same as California. I was actually talking. So I was bringing up when I was getting my groceries today, because I only get groceries on Friday, because that's when you have the kicker for fuel points. That's it. I have to only shop on Fridays because of the Biden administration. I can't. I feel guilty getting something from the store at any time besides Friday, because I feel I'm not getting my value for gas or my dollar off that I get because of the damn Biden administration. I can't handle this. So this lady, check this out. This is the Biden administration talking about how proud they are of gas prices. This is today.
Prices at the pump are so important for American families. And
oh, gee, thanks. I appreciate you saying the gas prices at the pump are so important for American families, because you have to say that, because you were told you had to say that. So you say
a big focus of President Biden. We are pleased that gas prices have come down by $1.40 relative to that peak that was caused by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But as you say, we are watching carefully to make sure that those gas prices at the pump don't go up.
Don't go up. We're making sure that they don't go up. They went up 20 cents last night, you dolt. How in the world can you say we're watching them to make sure that they don't go up? They are going up as you're speaking, woman. And to say you're $1.40 off the peak from Putin's price hike, just spare me. A flipping $4.20 gallon of gas? You ain't getting reelected on that. That is bleeding us.
So let's go behind the scenes on this, because right now, oddly, this country, America, is producing more oil and gas than it ever has. Weird fact, but it hasn't translated into lower prices. Part of the reason why is Biden's awful at strategy. And this goes back to that same point, Mike, that on a surface level, when Biden ran, it was experience. Biden's been in Washington a long time. That should be, to the American people, a warning sign, but for whatever reason, it was not. So now we have Joe Biden, who's never accomplished anything as a politician meaningful in his life. He ran on this idea that Saudi Arabia was a pariah. Saudi Arabia also produces a ton of oil. Saudi and Russia are the leading exporters of oil in the world. They're working together to keep prices high because, number one, it funds Putin's war in Ukraine, helps the Russian economy. Because remember when Biden said that we're going to punish Russia economically and their economy is going to collapse and their currency is going to collapse? Nope. Their stock market went down, but it's up 37% from that down. It's only 25% off its all-time highs. The ruble, the Russian currency, is up compared to the dollar. It's not above the dollar, but it's up where it was. So those promises Biden threw out there didn't come to fruition. And let's go back to the Saudi Arabians for a second, because the Crown Prince does not like Biden and will not do anything to help Biden, simply because Biden called him a pariah. And then the United States said that he was responsible for killing that journalist, which he probably was. But in politics, it's politics. You keep good relationships regardless of crappy circumstances sometimes, especially if your reelection is in part tied to gas prices. So the point is, to talk about Kamala and Biden, this is a huge wake-up call for all of us, that the career politician and the flash in the pan who did one or two cool things by going on the prosecutorial defense don't equate to good strategy for you, your dollars, your inflation, your gas prices. Because Mike is absolutely right. One of the big benefits of us not driving to the radio station anymore is we're not spending as much money on gas. And that actually turns out to be a pretty significant savings, especially every time you go to Costco, you're spending $400 for half a cart full of stuff.
$800 a month I was spending on gas.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a Mercedes payment, right?
Dude, for real. Not that I would drive one, but I mean, yeah, heck yeah. But it's $800. You just that's what you say, isn't it? That's $9,600 a year. That's a lot of good hunts.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good offshore. That's a solid. I could rent an offshore boat for that and bring 10 of my buddies. I mean, that's
food to eat for a month.
That's what I'm talking about. It's unbelievable. So I mean, to that point where I now have to, and I'm very lucky. But I've planned ahead. I haven't been done with this. I ain't worried about what price of beef is right now because I got a freezer full of game meat. I'm good. I'm fine. But it's every other thing that I have to get. Everything. I'm like, oh, why? Why do I have to? I have the. I want to go on the carnivore diet and just stay there. Just stay on the carnivore diet and not worry about all this other stuff that you have to buy when you make a dang meal. I just want to eat a bison steak. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong.
I want to have an elk rib. So I want to have some pig. That's all I want.
Mm-hmm. Well, Congressman Schweiker told us on Monday, and if you missed the episode, go back and catch it. You can catch it on the Brewmance podcast. You can catch it on YouTube. You can catch it right here on Facebook, wherever you're at. Just scroll back down and you'll find that. He said, Congressman Schweiker said, living in the Valley, we're all 23.7% poorer since Biden became president of the United States. So think about that. What that essentially means is it takes 25% more money to buy the same stuff. That's 25% basically. That is massive. And it's fine when I'm home, I'm hanging out, I don't really notice it. But every time I go out, I'm like, really? Mm-hmm. This and like corn or whatever. You're like, corn costs this much money since when? Right. Oh, since we shut down the world because we were panicked over a cold.
No, it wasn't. It was because of Vladimir Putin's.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Price hike, his invasion, his unprovoked invasion into Ukraine, and everything is at home. It's funny to see right now. I'm still seeing a lot of kerfuffles about Israel and Gaza. And I'm thinking about my gas prices. I'm thinking about my economy. I'm worried about my income. I'm worried about my kids. I'm worried about that. And there literally are still people that are protesting companies and protesting administrations. And I think this might be the big loser for the Biden administration above everything else is how they're handling this whole thing. Instead of, A, we have an ally. They're our team. B, this is a biblical war. This is a biblical fight. We're not you protesting or boycotting a certain company because they don't stand with Israel or they do stand with Israel isn't going to do anything about a fight that is thousands of years old. It is so funny to me that these politicians and talking heads are even talking about Israel and Palestine like we know what's going on. We're too busy worried about our own garbage right now, not something that's not going to get settled within the next, 1,000 years.
No, but we have an ego about us, our American politicians, that they're going to be the ones to usher in the two-state solution, the peace deal between Israel and Palestine. No. Obviously not, because of what Mike just said, right? This is a conflict that defies logic because it's attached to emotion and time and belief systems that is not going to be solved by Joseph Robinette Biden or Kamala, whatever her middle name is, Harris.
It's what is her middle name? Hold on, let's see if Sirius. Yeah. What's Kamala Harris's middle name? Let's see if Sirius got this for us. Devi.
Devi or Debbie?
D-E, V is in victory. I.
That's a cool name. I like
Devi?
that.
Devi?
Cool, yeah. Devi. I'd be Devi Harris if I was her. Forget Kamala. Devi Harris. What's up?
No, because it rhymes with Mamala.
That's true. That's her favorite nickname, Mamala.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I got a lot of nicknames for her. None would be her favorite.
No, I'm sure that would be. Grizz had the comment of the day so far. He said Kamala is a broken bracket. Well done, Grizz. Hi, Grizz. Lynn, Mom, I see you in here. Rhonda, Kyle, what's happening? Eddie, Greg, how you guys doing? Thanks for joining us. Again, we appreciate you being here. And, this is our new what do I want to call it? I guess a show. It's not a radio show.
It's a show, buddy.
It's a show. We're taking it beyond the radio with your help. So if you have friends that think similarly or don't, and you want to challenge them a little bit, do it in this way. Share Russell and Hunter's The Brewmance with them. So I want to go back to Israel, though, Mike, for a minute, because this whole situation is just a mess. But it's been a mess for a very long time. And Mike has a phrase he always says, do what you always do, get what you always got. Mm-hmm. That Israel versus Palestine is a perfect example of that. And now there's warnings that Iran is going to attack Israel because Israel bombed two Iranian Revolutionary Guard leaders in Syria. So the CIA calls Israel and says, you're going to get attacked. But I feel so far removed from this as if it really has nothing to do with me or my country. But it's fascinating to watch Biden as president because he's stuck, because he doesn't know how to lead. All he thinks about is politics. So he's trying to placate a younger audience that hates Israel, but he's always been a supporter of Israel. So he's in this weird position. And this is really where you see how bad Joe Biden is as a strategician, strategery, as Doug would say. He can't walk the line very well. And that's the blinking light to me again. It's if the red light is on all the time with Biden, because he is not a strategic thinker. He is not good at this job. The question becomes, is the other guy better to the American people, to the swing voters?
Biden, you don't have to turn on your red light.
I was
Biden. We still have a sing jar. Good Lord. We need to go on vacation, kid. Holy mackerel. That was a fiver, though. That was a long one. You got to put a five on that one. That wasn't. I hit that high note too. I'm going to take a little water break here. The pipes are a little. Woo!
Yes.
Sorry. I can. Now stay with us. I won't sing anymore.
I don't know. Maybe this is our version of Caitlin Clark can play in the NBA.
But you're right.
I was thinking.
So here's the gig with Biden, though. When it comes to placating to a whole younger generation that seemingly hates Israel for some stupid reason, it just doesn't make any damn sense. Then you can pick your reasons why they're being told to hate Israel. Joe Biden was one of the first, at least he announced, this is by his deal. He was one of the first to stand with Israel when they became Israel. I was the first because he's been around for 75 years. Remember this. So he was one of the first to stand by him. Okay, good. For publicly announced, Israel has a right to exist. I hate that term, but that was his term. So he came in. He is literally placating. His team is placating to a group that they don't believe is correct. Then they're like, okay, yeah, free Palestine, woohoo, yeah. They know, and they're like, this is dumb. Why are we even? These bozos don't know from a hole in the ground. So it's an interesting position to watch them and go through this whole, we stand with Israel too. Oh, better get after that Bibi. He's doing things wrong. Yeah. Then I heard Kirby today say that, they have a right to defend themselves. We just don't agree with how they're defending themselves or something that is please. Because what? Innocent people died? Yeah. Do you want to go back and do you want to look at Iraq? We need to point fingers at somebody? Do we need to point fingers at our allies? Do we need to? No, we say, dude, do what you do, because we've done what we've done and we get it. We know where you're at. You need help, holla. That should be the end of it, period.
Well, it should be, but this is why I think the big mission seems to be to help people understand what politics really is. Propaganda. End of the day. Because if you talk about younger people, and I'll use propaganda this way. Propaganda is anything, essentially. If you hear something enough, you might believe it. It's going to impact how you think. And we talked about, Mike, many times, the shift in the belief of America. We grew up, we were taught that America is the greatest land. Freedom, beacon on the hill, you can achieve you want, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. That message changed. And along with it, the message of Israel changed, because the two are linked, Israel and the United States, because we are two of the only functioning democracies in the world that are capitalist in nature, that provide good livings for people, even in inflationary times. So the fact that both of them now are the enemy, I told you, I think on Monday or last Friday, Mike, I saw a post that said, never repeat America or something like that. And you're like, what? What do you want then instead? Russia? Do you want China? Cuba? Which one of these utopian societies do you want that are obviously awful? You want Haiti? Do you want to turn into Haiti, where gangs run the country, run the streets? I don't think so. Cuba, they have food rations right now because that communist utopia doesn't have food supply. So this is this misnomer that somehow young people have been taught this because it's been constant in their face. Brainwashing, propaganda. I use the phrase language is contagious. That's really what this is. So in order to elevate the debate, I believe we have to expose what politicians are doing to young people. All they care about is that they want you to vote. That's it. They don't care what your position is. They'll forgive your student loans so you'll vote Democrat, as Biden is doing, I think, for the 9th time today. More student loans forgiven. I got to buy people's votes.
Or he can just claim that he did things like lower insulin costs to $35 capped in when Trump did that. But however, whatever they tell him he did, he believes. Yes, I did that. Yeah, I did.
And the Easter thing, Mike, real quick, the proclamation of Trans Day or whatever on Easter Sunday, which March 31st has been that date. Someone created it in 2009, but it has never been a presidential proclamation.
Correct.
Biden said this week, I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody in his staff, a young 22-year-old, 28-year-old, whatever, threw that out there, and Biden didn't even know. That's going back to your point, Mike.
Then who cares who's got their finger on the button? Who's got their finger on the auto pen? If that dude doesn't know when things come out on official White House letterhead, I, Joseph Robinette Biden, if he doesn't know that stuff's being disseminated without him knowing it, who's got the auto pen?
And who's getting fired? Who's getting fired for pretending they're the president of the United States?
Who's going to prison for doing that?
I mean, that would be it. That'd be an interesting option. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You impersonated the president and sent out a memo. He didn't actually sign.
I'm no legal scholar, but I think you can't do that. Holy. It's funny because it is spawning this nonsense. My daughter is at university. So they say across the pond. My daughter goes to college, and she always sends me, there's this socialist group, this pro-socialism group on campus, and they're always putting up signs. They love them some signs. They got a good printer, a lot of ink. Don't know how they get it because, I don't know, capitalism got them that. But anyway, so they have all this, they have all these signs. The latest sign she sent me was absolutely hilarious. The sign read, "Socialist women have better sex." That was their pitch on their flyer to catch. It is eye-catching. I will say that socialist women have better sex. So you get into the whole, get into the fine print, little details here. Essentially, that there's nothing for a woman to worry about in a socialist society. Everything is handed to them. Everything is free. Everything, you're free of worries. You can be a poet and just advertise your sexual fantasies, and everything is fine and wonderful, and you're just relaxed. So you have better sex.
Look, if you're going to hook me in, don't use the word better. Use the word more. Come on. Marketing is terrible. Because how do you quantify better? You can't even quantify. Stupid. This is like socialism.
I'm going to get some on a regular basis, and I will sign where you need me to sign. Anywhere. Where do I sign? Press hard 3 copies. I got it. I
will be a socialist. Yes, thank you.
Robert, the first Arizona member of the Arizona Socialist Party. And I would get the questions. That's the weird part. I would be the one that get the questions. Mike, what happened to Rob? Mike, what happened to Rob? Mike, what happened to Rob? I'd be like, they offered him more nookie.
I mean, propaganda. He fell victim.
He fell victim to it.
Everything he said, he fell victim to. He's been trying to warn us about political propaganda, and he fell into the socialist propaganda trap.
Like Pepe Le Pew. I'm like floating on the thing. Socialism.
Trap, man. It's like a bear. Stick my hand. Okay. Whoop. Yep.
More like a booty trap. Yep. I'll go with it. Yeah. And it's amazing. It's amazing how absolutely, I'll say it, how stupid kids are that actually get accepted to college. How are they getting accepted to college and you're that dumb? Like, you can't give me one example, can't show me one example in world history where this worked, but you think that America's going to get it right because we call it democratic socialism. See, that's better. It's like communism light. It's fine. That's a light, it's like smoking a light cigarette. You just get light cancer.
Yeah. I would just have those kids apparently never read 1984 by George Orwell. Just give a bunch of copies of 1984 to these kids. But then again, they don't read books anymore. It's too long. Didn't read. True. I only read a paragraph at a time.
Yeah. TLDR, right?
Yes.
See, this old redneck dad knows some cool stuff every now and again. Too long, didn't read. Yep. Yeah, that's right. Too long, didn't read. And that's they don't. So in their attention span is absolutely nothing because their attention span is from frame to frame on their phone. It's just a scroll. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. It's taking their attention span down to nothing. And so, yeah, so there's it's just free thought, like, which is fine. I'm all about free thought, live your life and discover things and don't worry about what other people have written or wrote. That's fine. You can make your own idea. Fine. Get your own thoughts together. Wonderful. Where did it land here? So they had to have read something, seen something. And I'll tell you this, the number one news source for kids right now, I would say 15 to 25 is TikTok. That's their news source, is TikTok. So, I mean, whatever their algorithm is telling them is what they get. And they hate that algorithm hates them some Israel because China's over there going, watch this.
Yeah. Well, that's a big part of this. It gets back to this propaganda. And we have to teach people to be smarter than propaganda. Because propaganda works, and it goes. You use the Nazi days and the Germany is like the really explosion of propaganda. Now, there's been a fair share of it forever, right? Whoever had the power, had the information, got to create the propaganda. But the modern version of it, 90 years ago, Adolf Hitler, Joseph Goebbels, they flat out said, "Doesn't matter what you say. If you lie enough and say it enough, people will believe it." And we're seeing that on both sides of the political aisle in the United States right now. It is as if we just ignore every history lesson we've ever learned to make humanity better. And we always fall back into this trap where it does seem we're on the precipice of World War III that could break out at any moment. All for the same reasons, because leaders lie because they don't want to look bad. So they keep lying and lying and lying and lying and lying and lying and lying. And then eventually, whatever side you're on, because you're on that side and you're attached to that side emotionally, you'll believe it. I mean, it's happening on our side, in certain ways, and it's happening on the left in certain ways. And that is enveloping. Go to back what you said at the very beginning, Mike, about the talking head who said Caitlin Clark can play in the WNBA. It's all part of this same, or in the NBA. It's all part of that same system of really trying to not be anything beyond too long didn't read. But you can't run a country successfully by reading a paragraph or flipping through with your thumb as fast as possible, because real life isn't that way. Yeah. But we don't even know what real life is anymore, Mike, because of technology.
Well, we've taken ourselves out of real life.
Yes.
Not ourselves. I mean, we're fine. Gen X, I mean, we're still in the game. But the kids, kids these days, and I'm not saying it's wrong. Here's the deal. Every generation says the next generation is screwed. Every single generation has said, I weep for my children or my grandchildren. It's going to be bad. And to an extent, a lot of that is true. The differences aren't positive. That there's been a decline, and I do believe that there's been a huge decline in this nation. But I don't believe that my kids, because of TikTok, are just absolutely hosed. I think that there is still that DNA that we have, that we the people DNA, that can at least prolong this a generation or two. But there's, we always like, oh yeah, my son, he's always on those video games and always doing this and always on Instagram and TikTok and this and that. My daughter, the same thing. But I mean, my daughter's like studying to be a bioscientist. So get on TikTok. I don't care. And I think that's the majority. I think that the majority of kids actually still have some drive and still have that We the People DNA in them. And I think we can be proud of the next generation and not weep for them as much.
Well, here's interesting. Purpose is a big part. So radio career, Mike can attest to this as well. It beats you up. It beats you up mentally. You got to work weird hours. You got to take weird jobs. My career was shaped by moving a lot. I moved 7 years. I moved to 6 states, but I had a purpose. So even though some of it was not ideal, some of the jobs I had were hard. I got, criticized quite a bit, but I kept at it because for me, again, going back to the belief, right? If you have an emotional belief and it's strong enough, it drives you, whether you want it to or not. So it can drive you to good decisions. It can drive you to bad decisions. But because I had a purpose, I knew I wanted to be a talk show host. I didn't know how it would manifest in Phoenix, Arizona with my big brother, Mike Russell, friend now of 17 years. We've crossed into the 17 year threshold, Mike Russell.
17.
Yeah, probably
How
right.
did we 49 in 2 weeks?
Yeah,
so I believe you now. I can't believe that garbage.
49. Dang.
I know.
It's
awful close. I think that's somewhere near 50, and it's just kind of scary. I think that's close.
It's still under. Weird.
Under.
Yeah. But I think overall, right, we see where we're at as we age, and we hope that young people still have that spark in them. But there was a number I saw today where I brought up purpose, in that they did a survey and they found that about half of mental illness in younger people, and I don't remember what the cutoff age was, 20-something, 25 maybe, 25 and below, lack of purpose. Lack of, because purpose, drive are very related. So if you're a kid and you're coming up in the world and you got a billion options all laid out in front of you, and college is expensive, and you think maybe the trades might be an option for you, but there's pressure to go to college. Maybe you don't want to. If you don't have a purpose and you don't know why you're going to college, you're just being forced to. You're not picking your major. You're not lucky like me that knew what I wanted to do at the age of 16. That absence of purpose is a big, massive part in trying to help younger people, I guess, find themselves. But to go to Mike's point, to give them hope. And I don't know if society has robbed them of it. I don't know if COVID did. I don't know if the public school system did. Maybe a combination of all those things, American politics, having the internet, all those things may have had that big psychological impact on kids where they can't connect to something enough to drive them through tough times. When they are just going through tough mental times without a purpose, it makes it harder to go through the tough mental time.
Well, our purpose was simple. Our purpose was the American ways, the American dream. I mean, we knew we were going to get out of high school. We were going to go to college or a trade school. We were going to get a job, and we were going to have a career, and we were going to have a family, and we were going to just that's it, right? And either the retirement to the goal, watching all that. Yeah, that was our purpose. Our purpose was that's our lot in life. That's what we do, and it's an amazing life, and it's an amazing nation. And you know what? And some of us decided to go fight for this nation. Someone decided to go protect this nation. And because it was something that we were taught that was to protect, that was to fight for, but that's gone. So there is no, when you say the purpose, it's pretty darn easy to see. The purpose that we had has been stripped from our children. They haven't been exposed to some great truth. They've been exposed to some great lie. And so I really don't know what to do about that, except for individual parenting. And that I feel really good that my kids actually have a purpose. They know what they want to do. Believe it or not, my son knows what he wants to do. Like, you're 16, dude. I had no idea what I wanted to do with that. I was just chasing my dream. That's what I meant to say. Chasing my dreams.
Women in Flagstaff.
Stop, lady.
I'm going to show up to the socialist meeting and see. But you better bring your A game. Like, you can't be showing up all dressed grubby. You can't be dressed like a socialist. You got to be dressed like you want to attract a man's attention. If you want
I thought you were talking about going to the socialist. I thought you were talking about going to the socialist
meeting. We should actually do that. We should show up.
Could you imagine? The trigger, how it immediately triggered they'd be.
I came here for the sign. I saw that. That would be creepy, and we probably should get. Well, I mean, never mind. Shh.
I saw a teacher the other day, a high school teacher elementary school teacher that looked just like he was running the socialist group. Like he just right out of central casting, that if somebody walked up behind him and said Trump, that he'd pee himself and just like, just start convulsing. Yes. But okay. I'll ask intern Beans when the next socialist meeting is.
Yeah. Did it say a date and time on the flyer? Because I want to go do some show research.
Yeah.
But I seriously would, because I would love to hear the rational argument that a 19-year-old presents about socialism, other than the fact that I don't really want to work hard.
Right. And speaking of which, this is such a beautiful segue. Feel the burn. Bernie Sanders. Yes, I'm a millionaire. If you write a book, you become a millionaire. Bernie. Well, feel the burn. Bernie Sanders has proposed. Okay. This is a piece of legislation that is circling through the halls of the Senate to drop the minimum work week, the 40-hour full-time work week, to drop that to 32 hours. The 4-day work week has now been proposed by the Captain Socialist himself, Bernie Sanders. This moron thinks that the way out of this craptastic economy that we find ourselves in the middle of is to make people work less. And the scary thing is I didn't know this was going on until a friend of Rob and I posted it with the little clappy hands. Like, yes, this should be. I'm not going to say who it was. I'll tell you off air. But I was like, are you bleeping kidding me? I can't even. I can't even right now. You know who it is?
Well, there's 4 or 5 candidates that come to mind immediately.
Yeah, one we used to work with. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I thought that was the case. Well, some people don't want to work hard. I do. So if you can find a 32-hour job, go find one. See if that does it for you. But to be protected by the government is obviously going back to the Flagstaff flyer, right? Everybody seems to think that stuff just comes for free. No. Somebody has to make stuff for you to buy. You got to make money to buy the stuff that other people make so that there's actual jobs, because jobs are a production reward system. End of story. So if you can't produce enough in 32 hours, there's less stuff to buy, less money to go around, less jobs to go around. It's all quite simple. It's unfortunate maybe that money makes the world go around, but what other option is there? Because there isn't a better one. I mean, there's a reason why capitalism came to be, because other economies weren't good. So the innovation of being able to buy, sell, trade goods and do it in any way that you want, it started to work. Because going back to purpose, and Lynn even said that she needs to find a purpose because she gets depressed doing nothing. Exactly.
Yeah.
So if we already have a mental health challenge, and look at young men, you don't think young men have mental health challenges? So there's a guy named Andy Elliott who lives out here in the Valley. He's blown up on social media. He's appealing to young men by yelling and screaming at them. That does something. And there's dozens of guys like this. Andrew Tate's another one who's world famous. He lives in Romania. He talks tough, and he's got the fit body. And it's appealing, going back to that lack of purpose that young men don't have. So they're gravitating towards guys like Andy Elliott, Andrew Tate, etc., who yell and scream at them. That's, to me, right there, that big sign that needs to be addressed, that we need to help people find purpose. Going back to what you said, Mike, person to person. I don't know if there's classes. I don't know if there's purpose lessons. You know, I'm sure that there are many, if you Googled, how do I find my purpose, many exercises. But that, to me, because it's been so important to my life, I can relate to it, because it drove me when I wanted to quit. It drove me when I didn't want to move to Farmington, New Mexico. It drove me to get out of Farmington, New Mexico, to come to Phoenix, Arizona. And all of those defeats that I had, getting fired from my dream job, Hurricane Katrina ruining my other dream job, still kept going because I had a purpose, where most people, if they weren't connected to that purpose, would have given up. I'm like, whatever, I'm going to go work at Target because it's easier and I'll make more money.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to go back to this Andy Elliott and the thing that you're talking about there. Don't worry, kids. It's the supplements talking. The rage and the yelling and all of that is it's just dumb. But here's what it's a product of. So understand that there'd be no market for these lunatics. There'd be absolutely no market. Had we not convinced an entire generation of young men that being masculine is toxic. You see, I didn't need any of these self-help yelling out gurus. I didn't need these dudes at all. I didn't, because I knew what a man was. I looked at my dad, because my dad was a man. My dad acted like a man. My dad was masculine, and that was my model there. I wasn't told by anyone in my class that acting like my dad was toxic. But so we're told that, and then there's this craving. There's this inside this natural desire to not suppress everything natural within us. And so you fall victim to these knuckleheads that are screaming and hollering about, I gotta be more of a man now. I've got to be even more masculine. It's like, that's not how my dad acted. That's not how my grandfather acted. My grandfather had 2 Purple Hearts. My grandfather was a badass. My grandfather worked till the day he died. And I mean, climbing ladders, top of commercial buildings. The man was a stud. He wasn't hollering at anybody, telling anybody they have to do something this way and that. He just acted like a man. And because that was stripped from this generation, we not need, but I mean, there's this desire to be treated like that because it has to be over the top now.
Well, and this is so funny too about where the left is. And by the way, Lynn, I'm sorry, I said she. Obviously, I know that you're a dude. My bad. I just it was like, whoops,
it happened.
Rolling, baby, rolling.
Wow.
But I love this point, Mike, that you're making, because it has been, as far as a man goes, right? Having masculine role models. There has been, even when we were kids, pressure to not be that way, to not be like your grandfather, to not be like your even dad, Mike. So that slow erosion, I guess, of the definition of a man has led a lot of people right to these talkers. But also, here's another funny thing about the left in their really drive towards eroding masculinity. Why do you think Trump's so popular? It's the same reason. It's literally the same reason.
Yeah. But again, that's the left overreaching, going too damn far. And they went so damn far. Now they made the man a hero. And they're doing the same thing with these court cases. Same, making him a hero. That's all they're doing.
Well, and he might win, right? And that's that nightmare for so many in the media. Even though they helped create him, they helped him win, and they may help him win again. Like, that's how delusional those in the media really are. They think all of a sudden everyone who was going to vote for Donald Trump is going to read a New York Times article and go, yeah, okay, that's the one. Yeah, you've changed my mind. He really is a mean person.
Yeah.
It's just, it's very obsessive thinking. And it's not really fair, I don't think, Mike, to America, because we're not talking about actual challenges in America. You talked about it, Mike, with gas prices. The media just ignores that because they're running cover for Biden. Why is it that in Arizona, 2 years after the pandemic ended, we're paying $4.20 for a gallon of gas? Because when I was in Colorado last week, it was $2.87. And I know that Arizona gets its fuel from California, and the Valley gets its fuel from a different place than Tucson and Flagstaff.
Doesn't matter.
But nonetheless, on average, since the pandemic, our gas prices have been probably second or third highest in the nation, behind California and Hawaii.
But some reason the conditioning has worked. Think about that. I know this is a side from what you said, but think about how the conditioning has worked. Like, if it goes down to 285, I'd be like, whoo.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel. Because it was 208.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, it's under $3. Haven't seen that in the Valley since 2019 or whatever.
And there was this guy delivering my groceries this morning, because I shop online, because I ain't anybody got time to go through that depressing practice of going into a grocery store and watching that, seeing how expensive everything is. The man brought it out. He's rolling his trolley out. The guy's he's from Great Britain. And he said, something about, I see you here every Friday. I'm like, it was pretty astute. Obviously, yeah, I'm here every Friday because I get the fuel points. And I'm like, I can't believe I just saw it at 419 on the way over here. And he goes, it's worse back home. He goes, we're paying almost double that.
Dang.
He goes, I'm going home next week. He goes, and it's going to crush me driving around. I'm like, dang, man. But I told him, I said very honestly, I go, didn't make me feel better. That doesn't make me feel better. We're the most oil-rich nations in the world. We should not have this problem. We should not be buying our oil from anyone else. But we're also not filling. Did you hear Kareem jump here? I wish I had that. Doggone it. Wish I had that for you. Did you hear KJP answer the question from Ducey about the so weren't we supposed to be refilling the strategic oil preserves? We're supposed to be filling that. I would that is in the Department of Energy, and I would send you over to them. Yeah, gas prices are important to Joe Biden thanks to Putin's price hike. It was absurd. I just now, we haven't done that yet? Oh, I didn't know we hadn't done that
1983. Yet. It's the lowest levels in the year strategic emergency petroleum reserve since 83, Mike Russell. 83. With no chance of refilling. Again, if you're voting for Biden for strategy, you're not. You're voting for Biden because he's not Trump. And this is when you vote for someone because he's not somebody else. And Schweikert said this on Monday as well. And I'd encourage you again to go back, grab that podcast, because you want to talk about real problems in America? One problem, spending. Because we got old as a country and we didn't have enough babies. So what did he say? There's thousands of people who turn 65 every day. So even if you cut Ukraine funding, it doesn't matter because 10,000 more people turn 65 and get Social Security today. So that moot point as far as the Ukraine spending. And I bring that up because they love to distract us, the media, the politicians, from the fact that they are failing all of us miserably by borrowing $3 trillion in one calendar year. That should be grounds of impeachment, if you ask me. But no one cares. No one actually wants to talk about why gas is still obnoxiously high, despite the fact that America is producing more oil and gas than it ever has. Yeah. Despite the fact that Joe Biden stinks at the job and strategically he's letting Saudi Arabia kick him in the face. He's letting Mexico point a middle finger at him. Like Biden's getting outplayed by bit rate countries.
You know, in the comment section, I think it'd be fun. I think, team, I can settle this. Could you imagine I'd actually throw it on pay-per-view because it would actually just check off the list. The dumbest thing I have ever watched in my entire life. And I watched an episode of the Kardashians. That's where that bar's set. So having a KJP Kamala Harris debate.
Oh my God.
Oh, there'd be so much so much air in the room coming out of their ears. The place would just float away like up.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
On a high note, I went to a skating rink last night. A roller skating rink in Phoenix, Arizona.
You're sending me back, dude.
Dude, that's what it was like.
Which one was it? Yeah,
Great Skate. It's on.
Hell yeah, Great Skate. Yeah, out here in the West Side.
Yeah. So,
buddy.
You know, Malcolm, our buddy Malcolm, who's been on the Brewmance podcast. We talked to him a couple times. So definitely go back in the Brewmance podcast and listen to Malcolm. Malcolm he's amazing. So he was in town. He lives in LA. He's like, we're getting together at the rink. I'm like, I'm doing it. And it was like going back in time. It was like being nostalgic, being a kid. But I had never been to Great Skate before. It was it's pretty cool. They don't have beer, which is probably smart because
it's really smart. Didn't you have to sign a waiver?
Yeah, it asks you if you have health insurance. At present, I do not. So they recommend highly that without health insurance, you don't go skating. And I haven't been on skates in like 30 years, so I did not skate. But it was cool.
Back in my day, the minivan would roll up to the front of that place and just all these kids would just flow. There was no like sign a waiver. It's like, I don't know, go for it, kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're holding on to the wall for dear life. Just kind of like people are passing. You're like, they're going so fast. That guy's going backwards. He must be an alien. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're just crawling along the wall. But then you just hear it. You hear You're just skating backwards. Oh, yeah. Some ABBA comes on. You lose your mind. Yeah. Dancing Queen. You're done.
They did have a backward skate last night. So I bring that up because I want to challenge you. Lynn, especially you, my man. Lynn.
Thank you. Good man. Good job, bud.
See, I got it this time. Do something you did as a kid this weekend. Bring out that kid, have some fun, go to a skating rink, go to a trampoline park, sign the waiver, don't blow out your knee, but do something you did as a kid this weekend and let yourself have a little fun. Or be like Mike and go out and hunt.
Go to the trampoline park. Go to the trampoline park because they always have dodgeball on trampolines. It is the most difficult thing you'll ever do. And it's humbling because 2 minutes in, you're winded and you just just gassed. And these kids are bouncing and flying flippies all over you and stuff like that. But you get one big ball to one of those kids' faces, and your whole world is good. You just like your body resets, your mind and soul resets. You're like, I'm good. All right, I took it out. Take that, kid. And he's down there crying. It's fantastic. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, what I meant was just it's very rewarding and it teaches the kids fair play.
And might be a good place to put up your socialism signs.
Get them young. That's right. Get them in there. Get them in there way young. Holy cow. Real quick, Lynn, you did say that you didn't like TikTok or X. I got to tell you, the majority of our listeners and our viewers are on X. I would just encourage you to give it another try. Elon's done some good things with it. Elon has, and it's for us because we don't get offended by anything. So whatever, you know what I mean? With like, there's actual conservative and free thought and American thought going on Twitter right now with X, whatever. It's a good portion of right now on X. We have 33 people watching us on X right now. What's up, X? How you doing, X? Come on around, love it. Thanks for hanging out with us. But yeah, so
it's we know some people. We're just saying. Just kidding. But yeah, Lynn wants to go to Ben Avery shooting range. Always a good adventure, especially before the weather turns to be too hot. Like right now, perfect time to go bust some caps.
Got to tell you that the sporting clays, the Clay Target Center, which is brought to you by Wildlife for Tomorrow, by the way.
Oh,
good organization to look up just in case, just in case. They got a really cool vice president. But go check out the Clay Target Center. That's just too much fun. Just to go at the sporting clays and just capping some clays is so much fun.
So, Mike, before we get out of here on our Friday nooner, what did you cover on the Go Show this week, and where can people go find that?
Oh, bro, appreciate that. Just get over to anyway, the Go Show with Mike Russell on all social platforms and Spotify and all that. Go grab the podcast. And it's funny that you do ask, Rob, because the community is now demanding, and I thought we'd share it on this show as well, that the state of New York gives a man his pet back. He has had this pet for 34 years. It's a 750-pound alligator named Albert. And the state has taken this 750-pound alligator named Albert. It's taken away from him due to licensing. There's been 132,000 signatures online for the state to return the man's, are you ready for this? Companion.
Emotional alligator.
I say that's what it is. It's got to be. I got my emotional alligator right here. Try to get that thing on a plane.
You can do it. Totally do it.
The support gator's the way to go. Grizz was hearing that. So yeah. So anyway, we covered that. Poor guy. Come on.
Exactly.
I mean, if it goes wrong, that's Darwinism, and that's just the way the man goes.
Yeah, just as long as he keeps it in his apartment, and you know that if you go in there, there's an alligator in there. You sign a waiver.
I don't think he's going to take it on a walk. You're not going to take things for walks.
Exactly. Everybody relax. Speaking of New York, I did an episode of my solo project, Equal Matters, in New York. I went to New York City. If you love New York or hate it, listen to this podcast. You're going to meet Josh and you're going to meet Peanut, two New Yorkers, awesome characters. Peanut explains her nickname, and it starts with a story about her chest.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's New York Unfiltered, baby.
Interesting.
It's the people, man. The people.
There was a brewmaster that actually named me Mr. Peanut. That was his nickname. He had all nicknames for everybody. He didn't call anybody by their real name. So he called me Mr. Peanut because my initials are MR and my head is shaped like a peanut. So he called me Mr. Peanut. That's what I got. I got Mr. Peanut. So I went out and got a cane and a monocle, and I looked amazing as Mr. Peanut.
My grandfather actually dressed as Mr. Peanut as one part-time job back in the day.
Solid.
That's funny.
That's amazing.
Grandpa Frank.
Oh man, you got to find a picture of that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, Mom, do you have a picture of Grandpa Frank as Mr. Peanut? If you do, we're definitely posting that.
Oh, hey, come on, bringing that. All day long. All right. Hey, gang, it's going to be crazy out there here in Phoenix. It's going to be loony this weekend with the Final Four and all that going on. So just Rob and I, by the way, went to the Final Four. And our seats were so high in the stadium, you couldn't hear the whistle, you couldn't hear the ball bounce, and you couldn't hear anything. You just watched it. Yeah, exactly. You heard the dun, 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 dun. That's all you heard. Yeah. You're like, look, they all look like ants from up here. Wow, it's amazing. Yeah. But anyway, it's going to be loony. Just be patient, take a deep breath, and understand that a bunch of out-of-towners, they don't know our Arizona ways, but make sure you say, welcome to Arizona. Yes, it's this beautiful all the time. Do not move here. That's the only message.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are no houses anyways.
Yeah. We can't do housing market sucks. Yeah. Unless you work for BlackRock. So you'd be all right there. Hey, everybody, have a wonderful weekend. We're going to do this again Monday at 4:00. So be here right here on Russell and Hunter's The Brewmance. He's Rob. I'm Mike. Have a great weekend, everybody.